Hello, my friends. This is episode 14 of HTML3 course. In this session, we're gonna learn about forms. Well, HTML forms are so important. In HTML forms, such as this Facebook login form, is used to collect user input. The user input is most often sent to a server for processing. Alright, we can see a button here to inputs, links using a tag and other things. Let's create a form by ourselves. Alright, first we should know the form element. Okay, this is the form element. And the HTML form element is used to create an HTML form for user input. And the form element is a container for different types of input elements, such as text field, checkboxes, radio buttons, and submit buttons, or etc. Okay, let's know about the input element. The input HTML element is the most used form element. An input, alright, can be displayed in many ways depending on the type attribute. Alright, some examples. For example, the text type displays a single line text input field. Okay, and let's see the result. It's just empty. Okay, if I change text to radio, it displays a radio button for selecting one of many choices, like this. Okay, and if I change it to checkbox, it displays a checkbox for selecting zero or more of many choices, like this. Check. Okay, and if I change it to submit, alright, it displays a submit button for submitting the form. Here it is. Okay, and if I change it to button, alright, it displays a clickable button. Okay, you can see. Let's explain them more. What about text fields? The input type text defines a single line input field for text input. Alright, first we should learn label. Actually, the label tag defines a label for many form elements. The label element is useful for screen reader users because the screen reader will read out loud the label when the user focuses on the input element. The label element also helps users who have difficulty clicking on very small regions such as radio buttons or checkboxes, because when the user clicks the text within the label element, it toggles the radio button or checkbox. It's so exciting. But we can see a for attribute here inside the label tag. It should be equal to the ID attribute of the input element to bind them together. Let's see. I want to give it an ID of fname. Okay, and inside my label I'm gonna write first name. Okay, and for should be equal to ID f name. Alright, let's see the result. You can see this is our label and this is our input. I can write my first name here. Okay, and here it is about the text type. What about other types? For example, radio button. We just saw how radio button use. If we type radio here, and yeah, I won't change them. you can see first name and a radio button. We can have more radio buttons. For example, we can use it for exams. There are 4 choices, 4 radio buttons or checkboxes. Checkbox work as well. And yeah, it's that simple. It's that simple. Yeah. And the others, I will write them down for you in the description, but this is just this. But there's another thing. We can actually use a value attribute. For example, if I have a submit button here, if I open it, yeah, I can see that. But what if I had only button? Okay, it's an empty button. I want to write something down inside my button. I will give it a value, for example, write button. Okay, let's see the result. You can see the value is the text that will be displayed inside an empty button, and it's just an attribute. Alright, let's talk a bit more about form itself. For example, action attribute. The action attribute defines the action to be performed when the form is submitted. Usually, the form data is sent to a file on the server when the user clicks on the submit button. And it's that simple. But we also can have the target attribute. You remember the target attribute of a tag? Alright. The target attribute specifies where to display the response tag is received after submitting the form. The target attribute can have one of the following values that you, I'm sure, already know. Target, alright, blank, self, parent, top. Okay, blank. What would happen? Alright, nothing happens. And blank, the response is displayed in a new window or tab. Okay, if I had an action. Inside action, we should actually write the file that contains a server-side script that handles the form data. For example, if you did have a backend file like index.php or a PHP file, a Node.js file, we should write it down inside action, and the target open that link. For example, blank opens and displayed in a new window or tab. Self, the response is displayed in the current window, it's default, and parent, the response is displayed in the parent frame, and top, okay, top, the response is displayed in the full body of the window. Okay, it's all about action attribute, but the HTML form element can contain one or more of these elements, like input, label, select, text area, button, field set, legend, data list, output, options, and option group. Alright, we will explain them all. For example, let's see what's select element. The select element, alright, the select element defines a drop-down list. Alright, I can have a label before that, BR, then label, and for is cars, and ID is cars, it should be the same as for label. And inside name, I'm gonna write cars as well. Okay, inside select, I can use the option element that defines an option that can be selected. By default, the first item in the drop-down list is selected to define. Alright, let's to define options. Here I'm gonna write option. The value, for example, Audi. It's a car. Alright. Audi. I hope I wrote it down right grammarly. Fiat. Alright. Fiat. Another car. Mercedes Benz. Okay. Alright, let's see the result. Okay, if I open it, you can see that. Yeah? Okay, this is our select element that defines some options. Okay, it's so useful in booking sites and purchasing date, times, and others. Alright. To define a pre-selected option, add the selected attribute to the option. For example, I want, you can see the default is audio, but I want bands to be selected by default. I add selected attributes, and if I check, you can see bands is default as well. Alright, okay, what about the visible values? We can use the size attribute to specify the number of visible values. Alright, how to do that? For example, I'm gonna write here size 2. Okay, we have 3 options here. What would happen if I have size 2? You see. Okay, here 2 of them are visible. It changes the width of our select area. Okay, if I say 3, alright, they're all visible. If I say 4, it would be larger. Okay, some margin here, white spaces. For example, A too big. Okay, you can see the margin here. So this is how size attribute works. And another attribute is the multiple attribute that allows the user to select more than one value. Alright, I'm gonna just size 1 and add a multiple attribute. Just write it down. Okay, what would happen? Here, I can choose more than 2 values. For example, I can choose, okay, I'm gonna change the size to 3. Okay, I can choose Fiat, Benz, Audi, and more than 1 values. This is how multiple selection works. Okay, this is enough for this session. See you in the next episode. Have a nice day and try this by yourself, and feel free to ask your questions in comment. Follow and subscribe for more. Bye.